What's going on? My name is David Page. I'm a guitarist and singer, and my wife and I are currently contracted to work as musicians on board the Norwegian Viva. We're still in the first sailing of the ship, and the biggest complications that I've had so far have actually had nothing to do with our contract. Before the first sailing, the ship was actually still in the shipyards. We went from the shipyards to Trieste, Italy in order to pick up our first passengers. When we left Trieste, we headed straight for Split, Croatia. When we got off the ship in Split, mine and Stephanie's first priority was to go find a place that had internet so that we could do some work. The first place we went to had really nice drinks, but unfortunately their internet was not very reliable, so we left. We walked along the waterfront where there were plenty of restaurants, and we thought we could probably pick up some internet here, so we found a bench and sat down. While I was working on my laptop trying to get charts and tracks for the songs that we need to play for the next sailing, I got a notification on my watch that said that my phone was no longer with me. I started looking down for it, and it wasn't to my side, it wasn't in my pockets. I started trying to figure out where it could be. Did it fall underneath the bench? And it was nowhere to be found. So I checked the Find My app to see the location of my missing phone, and I started to notice that it wasn't near us anymore. The more we watched the location, the further away that the phone got, and it was definitely in a part of town where we hadn't been, so it wasn't a case of me just leaving it behind. When I'm not on ships, my wife and I live in the city of Chicago. We're very used to being careful with all of our devices. I even had my phone touching my leg while we were sitting on the bench, and still, it disappeared like that. All I could do was take screenshots of my phone's location as it traveled further and further away. I asked for directions to a local police station from one of the restaurants nearby, and he pointed us in the right direction. Unfortunately, when we got to the police station, this kind of crime just wasn't a priority to them, and so I sat in the waiting room for over an hour. Eventually, when they brought me in to speak with their crimes investigator, he informed me that Split, Croatia is divided into 2 jurisdictions, and despite the fact that this police station was right next to where this crime occurred, it was not his jurisdiction, and I would have to travel all the way across to the other side of Split to go to the other police station in order to file a report. Unfortunately, there just wasn't enough time for me to be able to travel over there, file the report, and get back to the ship in time for crew all aboard, and honestly, it wasn't worth losing my job over to have a police report in Split. Having my phone stolen was probably the most inconvenient thing that could have been stolen. If my wallet had been stolen, it's very easy to just replace all of the cards. I don't even need my driver's license in order to travel back home because I have my passport. It's significantly easier to deal with a stolen wallet than it is to deal with a stolen phone. There are so many applications that I'm pretty much forever locked out of because I don't have access to my cell phone anymore. Luckily, I was able to block the phone from being used and completely erase all of the data before anyone could get into it. In that sense, I'm very grateful for the lengths that technology has come in order to protect people from having their identity stolen. Hey, David from the future here. Just wanted to pop back into this edit and quickly get this sentiment across. I don't feel like I was saying this earlier, but in no way do we blame Split, Croatia for what happened. This theft, there are criminals all over the world in cities big and small, and this is not necessarily indicative of the culture of Split, Croatia. From the brief time that we spent there, the city was beautiful, and I can't wait for the ship to port back there so that we can spend a little bit more time enjoying it instead of chasing a stolen phone around the city. I think that travel is really important to us to grow as cultured human beings. So whether you're traveling to a city close to you or if you're traveling halfway across the world, it's really, really important, and I hope that this anecdote does not deter you in any way from wanting to explore the cultures of this world. Let's get back to the video. What's funny is that today our ship docked in Cannes, France, and it popped up, I had a notification pop up that my phone location had been found, and evidently whoever stole it in Split, Croatia had then put it directly in the mail and shipped it to someone just outside of Paris, because for the first time since Split, I'm in the same country as my phone again. So I thought that was kind of funny. I do have insurance on my phone through my AT&T service back home. However, it's a $250 deductible for a lost or stolen phone. And so I'm gonna have to pay $250 in order to replace that phone, which I don't really want to do. Luckily, Stephanie and I brought an old iPhone that wasn't being used anymore so that we could bring it and get an Italian SIM card in case of any kinds of emergencies. This phone has now become my phone, and I have a new Italian phone number attached with a new SIM card and everything. So for the time being, we're good. I don't need to pay the deductible. I'm not going to go through the insurance. While Stephanie and I are here for the next 5 months, we don't really need our phone service at all. But we are kind of attached to our phone numbers. I've had my phone number since I was 12 years old, and Stephanie had her phone number since she moved to New York, and that New York area code has a lot of sentimental value to her as well. We discovered that there's a service where you can port your phone number to kind of a partner service, but you get no actual cell phone service. It's basically just a place to park your phone number. And so we're going to be able to park our phone number for a really, really inexpensive price and keep it so that when we get back on land, we're able to keep our phone numbers, and we're going to cancel our service so that we're not paying for phone bills for services that we're not using while we're traveling and living abroad. If you're going to work as a musician or a crew member of any kind and you live in the United States, I highly suggest looking into what phone service you do have and whether or not you will have coverage wherever it is that you're going to be going. It's really important to make sure that if you are going to keep your service, that it's a service that will cover you when you're abroad. Sometimes when you're traveling and working abroad, shit happens, and sometimes the cards are stacked against you, but really all we can do in these moments is choose how we're going to respond. And so the way that we've chosen to go about this is to handle our immediate needs and fulfill those first.
I've seen it twice. It's a whale.
There's a whale. There's a whale out here.
I've seen it.
Oh, cool.
Oh, another one. Are you stuck?
Let's look.
There's one here and there's one back. You see the one back there?
Yeah.
Is it zoom?
I'm zoomed, but not very far.
This haze is.
The haze is hard.
Here it is.
Oh, wow. I saw two. For now, our immediate needs are fulfilled. I have a phone that works. I have the ability to connect to internet as well as to cellular service in case of emergencies. And so all we can do is move forward and be grateful for the fact that we have this amazing contract, that there are whales popping up out of the water behind me as I film this video, that we are seeing parts of the world that we never imagined we'd see, and yet here we are. So as terrible as it is that my phone was stolen, it is it's a part of life, you know. There's ups and there's downs. A word of caution is to just make sure that you are absolutely paying attention to your surroundings. The second you get distracted, your stuff can grow legs and walk right on out of there. So take care of your stuff, take care of your people, and enjoy traveling, enjoy seeing the world. I know we are. See you in the next video.